Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is Chief Forecaster Cameron
And Derek here once again, and as we've been talking about, as I mentioned last night as well, in your forecast video update, again, a multi-day risk of severe weather begins on Wednesday. We're talking flooding, we're talking hail, we're talking damaging winds, we are talking more tornadoes, unfortunately.
Yep.
And we are talking about, Cameron, a multi-day severe weather risk across the state.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do here, I know we have the timing map up. We're going to come back to this coming up in just a little bit. But there's folks that don't know what's going on right now in terms of your overall risk. So give me just a second. We're going to talk about this. And then we're going to go over your timing and stuff like that here. So if you guys haven't figured out by now, we do have that level 4 across eastern and northeastern Arkansas that was issued at lunch today. We're going to talk about the risk and stuff like that. I'm going to make a quick PSA for everybody that's in the comments right now. Number one, hold your questions. It will not cost you a penny to be patient. There is a ton of information that we've got to go over first. We're going to try to go through it as fast as possible, but I'm going to need you guys to hold your questions here, okay? We're going to get to them, I promise. There's a lot of information we're going to go over. And then number two, not only do we have Wednesday's threat, but we've got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday here. So the timing map that you're going to see tonight is only for Wednesday into Thursday. We are not putting a timing map out for Thursday and Friday and Saturday right now because it's going to cause so much confusion in the public right now. So I want to make those 2 points clear. Hold your questions, and then the timing map that you're going to see is only for Wednesday here because we've had so many people confused. We're trying to reduce as much confusion as possible here. So to kind of get back to this map, we've got that level 4 in place across eastern and northeastern Arkansas. The level 3 for much of central and into western and the southern Arkansas. And then obviously the level 2 just kind of surrounds that. And Derek, if you want to talk a little bit more about the overall risk as we move into tomorrow here.
So again, as we have been talking about, Wednesday has really been the day that has stood out to us. Again, many are trying to compare March 14th event. That was a high-selling event. And again, this has another high-selling day. When it comes to tornado, this actually is much more of a, I'm just going to throw it out there, a tornado event setup compared to what we've seen. Even more of a tornado setup than what we saw on March 14th over a greater area of the state. No matter if you're in level 2, level 3, level 4, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow's one of those days that you have to be on your A game. We're talking as early as 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, potentially, during school hours, lunch hour, into the afternoon hours as well. It's going to be one of those days where we're going to be doing a whole lot when it comes to severe weather.
Yeah.
But we're talking more than just tornadoes, large hail, and high winds.
Yeah. So first and foremost here, we're going to kind of make this as quick as possible here. Then we're going to answer questions. This is a much upgraded rainfall map compared to what we were looking at yesterday. I went 4 to 6 across the board because, obviously when you start talking rainfall totals and stuff like that, you got to be careful about, how much you put out and everything like that here, unless you have significant confidence. There is now what we call a PDS flash flood watch across much of Arkansas for tomorrow all the way through Sunday here. That pretty much means, what does PDS mean? That means particularly dangerous situation here. I know everybody's focused on the tornadoes. I know everyone's focused on the hail and everything like that. You do not ignore flooding. Flooding is just as important as a tornado warning, as a severe thunderstorm warning. I hate seeing people ignore flooding for tornadoes. Folks, this is some serious stuff coming our way here. We don't just throw these amounts out for no reason. As a matter of fact, like I said, we went 4 to 6 yesterday when data was streaming this, but we wanted to see another day of data throwing these types of numbers out before we put it out there. And this is just a rather significant amount of rain coming our way, along with this significant severe weather here. So my folks in central and especially northeastern Arkansas, be weather aware, be ready, plan ahead for flooding. Remember, turn around, do not drown. If you are in a low-lying area, you need to talk to a buddy, somewhere like that, get to a higher ground, especially over the next couple of days, because these are going to be coming in rounds. It's going to be a situation where you'll have one round move through, then another round, and those rainfall totals will start to pile up. Another thing, I understand that we've been dry. I understand we've had wildfires. Folks, if you get too much rain at once, it will cause some issues here, and that's exactly what's happening as we move into the next couple of days here. So, Dave, if you want to talk a little more about that flooding threat, especially in northeastern Arkansas.
Yep. So basically, as Cameron said, we have been in a drought. Over the past couple months, it's been a relatively dry spring. We had our snow event in January. We had our snow event in February, but overall, it has been a very dry period.
Yep.
The biggest thing is that right now you're flooding. Basically, how you get to your flash flood guidance is basically you need about 4 to 6 inches of rain to catch up on those totals. And in typical Arkansas fashion, we're going from one extreme to the other.
Yep.
And this is how we make up droughts time and time again. But that being said, this is turning more and more into one of those 25, 50, 100-year type of flood events that we don't normally see here in the state. And all the years that I have been forecasting Arkansas weather, I don't recall a period where the WPC has maintained up to a foot of rain over such a long period of time. Normally it's been with tropical systems, stuff like that, but not just a standard spring setup like we are getting ready to have. And like Cameron said, along with the flood risk, you have a risk of severe weather each day, a risk where you can have storms training over the same areas day in and day out. So areas like northeast Arkansas that have already been hammered with severe weather, you could be dealing with it for 3 or 4 days in a row.
Along with the flooding threat as well.
Yeah, I mean it's just one of those situations where our farmlands are dry. We have dry vegetation. Things are just starting to green up. Now you're going to have to deal with flooding, especially your campgrounds. A lot of people go camping this time of year.
Yeah.
You're going to be dealing with a lot of threats when it comes to this event.
Yeah.
That we're not used to seeing per se.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to water. We're used to tornadoes. We're used to high winds. We're used to hail. We dealt with plenty of it already throughout the month of March, but we haven't dealt with this aspect and in this magnitude over such a short period of time.
Yeah. So, folks, a couple things. Number one, northeastern Arkansas, far northeastern Arkansas, I wouldn't be surprised somebody up here breaches that 1 foot range up here. That's just how it is. I know the National Service in Paducah is really worried about historic flooding up there. Number two, your timing is over here. Folks, I'm stressing this one last time, and this is the last time I'm going to say it. You got to pay attention to the graphics, guys. Okay, all the information is on the graphics and everything like that. Next couple of days, it is just going to be reports, warnings, and stuff like that. I've already told the team we're not going to be answering specific questions over the next couple of days. It's just not going to happen unless you are directly under that warning here. So we post this on the page. This is what we typically do. You got to pay attention to the graphics, guys. You have to. It is in your hands. The next couple of days, it is in your hands. What you do with this information is completely up to you. That is just how it's going to be. My folks up there, like I said, in that northeastern Arkansas area, I understand a lot of folks want to know about the tornado threat. They want to know about the wind and the hail. Folks, flooding cannot be ignored. It can't. Yep. It cannot be ignored in this situation here, folks. This is some high-end flooding amount from rainfall amounts here. Another thing is it's not going to happen all at once. I don't want folks coming at us on Thursday saying, "Oh, y'all said a foot of rain on Wednesday, and it didn't happen." It's not that at all. This is drawn out. The flood watch goes all the way till Sunday. That's the reason why your amounts are going to start to pile up from tomorrow's event, then Thursday, then Friday, then Saturday, and then the Sunday. So this is not all going to happen at once. That's why we have that time frame from tomorrow all the way till Sunday, because it's going to come in different rounds. The problem is you keep getting heavy rain over and over and over and over and over again. Yep. It's going to lead to some significant flooding, especially in your riverbanks and stuff like that. And Derek, I know you had said the other day about campgrounds. Yes. Ones that are out camping and stuff like that this time of the year. Folks that are, if you own a campground or you're planning on going to one, pay attention to those flood guidance, guys. Pay attention to those flash flood warnings and stuff like that here. Mm-hmm. So I will say this, and it's not regarding to tomorrow, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all this rainfall could have some effect on the severe threat late week and into the weekend, but it is not going to affect tomorrow's activity whatsoever here. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear this off, and we'll move over.
Very important. I like this comment from Brian Davis on YouTube.
I can pull it up if I need to.
Flooding is so important. We're likely to see a equivalent to what Helen did in North Carolina.
Yeah, and multiple rounds.
I like this comment because it's very important to point out is yes, we have a tornado threat, yes, we have a damage, but folks, one thing that I've noticed over the years of forecasting Arkansas weather is flooding goes ignored.
Yeah.
Until it's too late.
Yep.
I mean, recently we had the Albert Pike flood, I think about 6 years ago now, where we lost a lot of lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those situations where you have to pay attention, except that was isolated. This is over a large area of the state.
Yep.
So, again, pay attention to the flooding. That's over a 5-day period.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, tomorrow is our day to pay attention to the skies. Because tomorrow's our day, and we're gonna have full team coverage. We're gonna have Jamie, our tracer, in the field. We are going to have Elijah, our eyes in the sky post storm as well. If anything gets crazy, and then of course full team coverage because I don't want to use the word again, but outbreak is on the table yet again.
Yeah, and I've kind of keep an eye on that eastern and northeastern Arkansas area, which, like I said, Storm Prediction Center today, they did come out with that level 4 moderate risk here, so I'll break down how our scale works here, okay? On Storm Prediction Center's website, you have a 2%, a 5%, 10, 15, 30, 45, 60, etc. Well, this is what we did last year because we had so many people complain about it. We combined all of those into different levels to make it easier for everybody to understand here. So level 1 is the 2 and 5 combined. That means that you have the potential of seeing a few tornadoes. Level 2 means that several tornadoes could be possible, well actually likely, and a strong tornado could be possible. Level 3 is where you start talking strong tornado potential. Some of them could be long tracked or potentially violent. SPC has been mentioning this over the last couple of days that significant tornadoes were on the table for tomorrow. That is going to be the case. I'm telling you folks this right now. You're finding out, getting alerts, finding out where you live. That is all in your hands tomorrow. You're going to have to know where you live. You're going to have to know your counties, know your surrounding counties, know your cities, stuff like that. It's a very quick Google search, folks. You're going to have to know it. It's not us being mean. It's going to come to a point where there's a warning. You don't know where you live. That's life-threatening. So I want to stress that right now here, okay? So my folks in Eastern Arkansas, and I want to stress this too. My folks in Western Arkansas, in that level 1, don't let your guard down. We've seen situations before where, the eastern part of the state is in the most highest risk, and then the ones in Western Arkansas as well, okay, I'm in level 1, that's going to happen. That's where initiation is going to start, and you may have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings or a tornado warning over there as well. So, folks over there in western northwest Arkansas, this doesn't mean that it needs to be ignored just because you're in a level 1. You need everybody across the state, all 75 counties, needs to be paying attention to what's going to be happening tomorrow in the next couple of days. Yep, go ahead.
And I know this is going to happen. Somebody see this level 3 risk, I ain't got to worry about it because I'm in the level 2. I'm in the level 1. Again, tornadoes don't care about risk areas. So severe weather doesn't care about risk areas. I mean, we had a EF2 in northwest Arkansas last year in a marginal risk.
Yep.
I mean, we had a tornado. I've seen several in a slight risk.
Yep.
And it is all based on what the atmosphere can do.
Yep.
Tomorrow the ceiling is way up here. Our hope is that the storms forming in Oklahoma overnight in Texas sends the outflow boundary out, sends cold air out, and just rains over the whole state tomorrow. And we ain't got to worry about this. And we're sitting here telling y'all it's a bust, it ain't going to happen, and lives are going to be spared.
Yep.
But realistically speaking, climatology speaking, meteorologically speaking, the ceiling is very high for severe weather tomorrow, especially over your level 2 and level 3 risk. But over the whole state tomorrow, your atmosphere is very good. It's going to be very conducive for severe weather. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a line of storms. It is going to be one and or more supercells potentially tracking across the state. And these are going to be tracking southwest to northeast over the same areas over and over and over again. And remember, I saw a couple of meteorologists compare this to the January of '99 event. That's our worst tornado outbreak ever. We're not saying that's going to happen.
Actually, I was going to say, matter of fact, I think that's the largest tornado outbreak we've had in the entire state's history.
Yes.
So,
and,
yeah.
We're not saying that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, all it takes is one or two parent storms that move across the state that can drop several over a period of time. And supercells can travel 2, 3, 4, 500 miles, dropping tornadoes left and right. The further east you go, the further northeast you go, the greater that risk is for those EF0s, EF1s to become those strong, violent, long trackers. But again, it's going to be highly dependent upon our atmosphere tomorrow, which is already becoming prime.
Yeah. So I love this comment from Jersey. They had a talk with the students in the class today to help them become more weather aware and do tornado drills. I've heard that was the case across the state today. That a lot of schools were doing tornado drills and stuff today. I love seeing this kind of comments because that means that weather aware people are becoming more weather aware. They're practicing those safety roles, stuff like that before severe weather strikes. So Jersey, thank you so much for doing that. It really means a lot to our team that you're doing that with those students, stuff like that. And anybody else that did that today, that went over those tornado drills, went over those severe weather plans. We really appreciate it because it really does help a lot, especially before severe weather strikes here. So I know there's a couple, and I know Derek, you had talked to me about this before the live stream started. There's a couple of people that, I think there's some schools that may be trying to do an early dismissal tomorrow, stuff like that.
I know we've heard of Benton and Bryant. They are letting out about 1:45 tomorrow. Little Rock schools have said they are staying in.
Yeah.
I know Pulaski County and North Little Rock will probably follow suit with the LRSD and stay in because let's face it, it is one of the bigger districts in the state. So therefore, letting that mass amount of students out in severe weather may not be the best idea. Schools are the best place really for a lot of kids to be because they are built to withstand, are built to kind of deal with this type of situation. I know places like Jonesboro, some of your larger districts are playing a wait and see.
Yep.
Your smaller towns are going on and letting out early. It's kind of one of those things where it's kind of a wait and see. As we continue to get information in on school closings, early dismissals, we will have that up. We're going to treat it kind of like a winter weather day. We will have that up first thing in the morning, going over all of that information as well. And again, we're going to be around the clock coverage, sunrise in the morning, all the way through until this event's over on Sunday.
Yeah. So folks, put the brakes for just a second. We're going to go over timing. Like I said before, we got to go over all these risks and got to go over the flooding and all that. I promise you, we're going over timing. As a matter of fact, I'll do this. Just for everybody to get a broad brush timing until we get to the specifics, I want you guys to pay attention up here. This is going to tell you all you need to know. Pretty much, I would say from about, I have 2 right now, but from noon tomorrow all the way to about 2, 3 o'clock Thursday morning is where you need to be weather aware, and that's for the entire state of Arkansas. That's all 75 counties. We're going to break down the specifics coming up in a little bit, but folks, patience. Just hold the brakes for just a little bit. We're going to go over it, I promise. We just got a lot of information we got to go over here, guys. There's flooding, severe weather, tornadoes, all this stuff happening over the next couple of days. We're just trying to make sure that a lot of people are not getting confused and everything like that here, okay? So this is the significant tornado risk for tomorrow here. Now, there's a difference between your tornado risk and your significant tornado risk here. Now, when you talk your significant tornado risk, that's anything from an EF2 plus. This is something that only the Storm Prediction Center does. They highlight an area of greatest concern for that potential here. And that's going to go from Blytheville, Walnut Ridge, down to Little Rock, down to Texarkana, El Dorado, and across the area here. They do this for a reason because the environment tomorrow, like Derek mentioned before, the ceiling is definitely high enough for the potential of seeing those strong tornadoes as we move into tomorrow. Now, I want to make this clear. Is everybody in all 75 counties in Arkansas going to see a tornado tomorrow? No. Is everybody in Arkansas going to see a tornado warning tomorrow? No. but we need you to be weather aware.
Yeah.
We need you to be like, hey, if you're traveling tomorrow or you do get under a warning tomorrow, that you know what to do here. But this is not going to be a situation where every single person in Arkansas is going to get a tornado and their house is just going to be wiped off the face of the earth. It's not going to be like that at all. But the ceiling is high, and you definitely need to be ready to go and be prepared here. Derek, if you want to go ahead. Yeah.
Yep. So again, like Cameron said, the big thing is, we have dealt with this. Really,
so many times, yeah.
I know this state is very, severe weather where we've been dealing with this pretty much since our last snow in February. It has been constant severe weather risk after severe weather risk. March 14th stands out obviously as the day to match so far. That was in one corner of the state. This time we're talking about much more of the state, and our concern is that areas like southeast Arkansas, central Arkansas, they haven't seen much severe weather this year. That could very likely change tomorrow,
yeah.
and that is our concern. We've had capping issues, across much of central and south Arkansas, much of the spring so far. That looks to change tomorrow, unfortunately. Like we said, the best case scenario is it rains all morning and we don't have to worry about it at all whatsoever. But looking at everything, meteorologically speaking, we're not gonna have a cap to deal with, and that morning rain is not gonna be an issue, and you're gonna have enough shear and instability in place where this could become a pretty significant day.
Yeah.
We hope it doesn't. We pray it doesn't. We've already had enough significant days for the year, to last us a while. The good news is we get past this event, we cool off, we get a break.
Yeah.
But we got to get through this before we get to that break.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here, because we got a lot of people that are asking questions, stuff like that, I'm just going to speed through the graphics.
Yeah.
This is all going to be on the page here, guys, so you're not missing anything. It's just a lot of people are just being impatient right now, and we're just trying to get through the graphics here, but we'll get to your questions coming up here in just a second here. So damaging wind risk is definitely there. Level 2 for across much of Arkansas, and then you have your level 3 here. I will say this right now. I said this for March 14th. There are certain events that for a fact are going to be your higher end tornado threats. Tomorrow's probably going to be one of those days. You notice last event, your damaging wind risk was through the roof.
Yeah.
This go around, your damaging wind risk is a lot lower compared to your tornado threat for tomorrow, which means you'll be dealing with supercells, and then you have to deal with that. Also, yes, there is multiple threats of severe weather on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Folks, we are not going to put a timing map out for those 3 days just yet, because what's going to happen is people are going to get confused. That's just what's going to happen. You're going to be throwing a lot of information out, and people are going to confuse, and it's, and that's worth it, because what's going to happen is you're throwing Wednesday's threat, then Thursday, then Friday, then Saturday. It's a lot to take in. So right now we're just taking one day at a time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, similar to what we deal with, when we talk about winter weather.
Yep.
You deal with one winter storm at a time when you have several in a row. We're doing the same thing with severe weather. We're going to deal with Wednesday first.
Yep.
The flooding risk is for all 5 days. The flooding risk, flooding risk is all 5 days. Your severe risk is going to be broken down day by day each morning.
Yep.
That way we don't have to. Because you can look at Friday's risk and go, and then somebody forget, this is Friday, not Wednesday, and then guess what? You're dealing with the PDS warning coming into your town. So it's just one of those things is you have to take it day by day, because in a situation like this is our first multi-day event of the year. You got to take it day by day, and I say first event of the year because we see this a lot in April and May, where we deal with multiple day events, and then we go into our hot summers. Yes, I know.
That's just how it is.
It's just, but right now the biggest thing is you have to focus on each day one at a time.
Yep. So this is your significant hail risk for tomorrow, pretty much statewide. That's gonna be the deal for tomorrow. That's for the potential of seeing 2-inch diameter hail plus here. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm gonna leave this up here. I'm also gonna make this crystal clear too. You're going to have to learn patience, guys, next couple of days. We're not going to be tolerating our team being yelled at, people demanding answers and stuff like that. Folks, y'all are going to have to meet us halfway next couple of days. It's going to be a very stressful period for not only yourself, but our entire team. We had meetings over the last couple of days about this.
Yep.
Folks, you got to meet us halfway here, guys. You got to know your counties. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has a device on them at some point during the day. take the time, know where to go over those severe weather plans and stuff like that. Don't put all that pressure on us during warnings and then get upset with us when we don't answer when we're trying to cover another tornado warning somewhere else, okay? So I want to make that crystal clear. The next couple of days are going to be very stressful for not only for everybody else, but for our team. So this is the timing for tomorrow. We're not gonna make a timing map for Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday or anything like that yet, because we want to get through one day at a time to avoid mass confusion.
Yep.
So my folks in Western Arkansas, we're going to break this down zone by zone for tomorrow. I've got you guys starting at 11 a.m. I know I had 2 p.m. on the other graphics, but this is the most recent timing map. So Western Arkansas, I've got you guys starting as early as 11 a.m. Now, I think the majority of your storms should start getting going probably a little after lunch. But we rather be on the, when we make these timing maps, we rather for you guys to know, like, hey, there could be the potential that this thing could start a little earlier than expected, so that way no one's caught off guard. So my folks are in Western Arkansas. We've got you about 11 o'clock in the morning, and then going from I'd say from noon all the way to about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, things should start to end the severe threat by 7 p.m. However, you're going to have more storms to kind of develop overnight, tomorrow night, and into your Thursday time frame. Mm-hmm. This timing map was very hard to make. I'll just put it that way, because you're going to be dealing with multiple rounds of storms instead of one line's going to push through and then that's it. This is going to be a multiple round event across the state of Arkansas. This is going to be probably one of the most stressful events that we will deal with. Probably, I don't want to say for the rest of the spring season, because obviously we still have April and May to get through. But so far, this is going to be the most stressful part over the next couple of days here. And I saw that one comment, Derek. I'm not trying to interrupt you or anything. I saw that one comment about turning the comments off. I cannot do that, Sunshine. The only reason why we don't do that is because the potential of people not being able to tag their family and their friends in the live stream, and that potentially could lead to some an unfortunate situation here. So we don't care about the comments, stuff like that. We have an entire moderator team that is not afraid to block anybody that gets out of line over the next couple of days. We both have made it crystal clear. You act out of line, you're gone. That's how it is. We've got too much other stuff to worry about. That's just how it is. But no, we can't turn the comments off, because if somebody is in a direct line of fire and they need to get to the live stream and you can't tag anybody once you turn the comments off, then obviously they can't get the alert, and what happens after that here. So we have a moderator team that will be on full standby over the next couple of days here, guys. So go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, so, again, as we go into Central Arkansas,
go ahead.
Zone 2. Again, this is our Zone 2. This is actually when we start watching for that threat of strong, long track tornado. This is where our instability will be a little bit greater. Mm-hmm. Shear will be a little bit greater. West Arkansas, we got to watch what happens in Oklahoma overnight. Latest guidance continues to indicate those storms pushing into West Arkansas before they die off. This would create a cold pool, which would help our severe threat out here. Not get rid of it, but kind of make it a little less, but still there. We have plenty of shear in place, so any storm that goes up will run a tornado risk. But for my Zone 2, starting around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, again, this is just one of those days that we're going to have watching around that 1, 2 o'clock time frame. Again, the most likely, notice there's a wide range, about a 7-hour time frame. 3 p.m. in the afternoon, 10 p.m. at night, ending around 11 p.m. to midnight. Again, this is going to be coming in multiple waves, southwest and northeast, constantly flowing through. So again, you're going to have rounds of severe weather. My concern, I know Cameron's concerned as well, I know Jamie is concerned as well about this as well, along as the rest of our team, is that we could be tracking storms that track through the same area over and over again and produce damage in the same areas. Mm-hmm. That's our concern tomorrow. We've seen this in the higher ceiling events, March 97, January 99, 2011, 2014, etc. Where we see these storms track over the same areas and produce damage in the same areas.
Yep.
as you get into level 2 or into zone 2, that's when we're starting to really worry about that, because this is where zone 2 really needs to pay attention, is because that 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. time frame, it could either be nothing at all, or it could be just basically what I call, from my experience as a chaser, a living hell.
Yeah.
Is basically what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
Because it could be the best case scenario, we deal with the bus, I ain't got to worry about a thing. Or for those of you on the ground, for those of you experiencing it, oh, it's going to be a living hell. And I want to stress this as well for my folks in zone 2. Guess what? You don't have a tornado. You're not dealing with it. You got sunshine. Be blessed, because your neighbor up the road could be having their livelihood destroyed. And like Cameron said, I will reveal that I will not be in studio. I had a pre-planned thing that I am going to. And I will hear everything that goes on. And and here's the thing. Cameron and I have the authorization to block anybody. Our team will do it. Arkansas, we've dealt with this time and time again. There were times in this state where everybody loved each other and loved. When we started this thing, everybody loved each other. We looked out for our neighbor. I don't know what's happened since that time frame, but tomorrow's a day where you need to be watching out for your neighbor. If they get hit, you go help. Don't sit here and bash somebody else about not getting hit. Don't bash this team. Do not bash other meteorologists in this state about, I'm not getting hit, why do I care? Tomorrow's a day where you need to care about everybody in this state. Folks in northern Arkansas are picking up the pieces right now. They're going to be doing it again tomorrow. Folks in central Arkansas, we just dealt with it. Tomorrow, we could be doing it again. South Arkansas, same thing. This is a time frame. Tomorrow is the day you need to be weather aware all day long.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I went off on it, but we are not playing games with this event.
Yep. Nope. You hit it right on the nail, man. I mean, that's just how it is. So I think we've gotten to the time now. So this is kind of the part of the live stream where this is actually in record time. It's 30 minutes in. That we can actually start taking questions and start talking about like the certain details and everything like that. But just kind of echoing what you said, I never understood why people get so upset about not getting severe weather. Like, folks, it is life changing. This is not like, it's not like winter weather and snow, where I understand if you didn't get snow, you'd be upset. I get it. But, with severe weather, people's lives are changing. That's just how it is. So you got to make sure tomorrow here, and not only tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday and Saturday, this is a multi-day event, guys. Make sure that you're staying weather aware and be nice to everybody, because everybody else is going to be stressed out tomorrow. That's just how it is. They're going to be stressed out the next couple of days as well. So just keep that in mind here. I'm leaving this timing map up. This is just for tomorrow. Not going to have not talking about timing for Thursday or Friday or Saturday or anything like that yet, because we got to get past tomorrow. Like, we got to get past tomorrow before we start focusing on the rest of the week. The flooding threat will be a continuous problem from starting tomorrow all the way to your Sunday time frame here. So we'll kind of answer a few questions here. Let me see here. So I saw one from Matt. Is there going to be a cap in place tomorrow? Yes, there will be, for at least a couple of hours. Now, I know you had mentioned the cold pool. I wasn't trying to interrupt you or anything earlier. The cold pool can be your best friend, and it can be your worst enemy. Because what will happen in that situation is, if you have your cold pool, and let's say your storms out in Oklahoma go absolutely just bonkers, ballistic, and then they start moving into West Arkansas, but then they die off. Well, what happens is when those storms die off, they leave boundaries. And those boundaries are something that model data is not going to pick up. You're not going to pick up unless you have studied this for so many years and you know what to look for. Those boundaries are what we call mesoscale features. And those mesoscale features can be a very big problem, especially in situations like this tomorrow, where you get a supercell acting along that boundary, produces a significant tornado. I said this March 14th. I'm going to say it with this event tomorrow. Any storm that has matured and gone severe will carry a strong tornado threat. I'm going to make that crystal clear.
Yep.
I'm going to repeat myself. Any storm that forms tomorrow that is able to mature and become severe will carry a strong tornado threat. I said the same thing on March 14th. Same thing is going to apply this go around here. any storm that develops tomorrow that goes severe will carry that strong tornado threat no matter where it is in Arkansas tomorrow. So you've got to be weather aware here. But Matt, great question. Yes, there is a cap in place. Basically, when we talk about cap, it is a lid in the atmosphere that keeps storms, that keeps the particles from going up into the atmosphere. But that cap is going to get eroded very quickly because you have a lot of forcing coming out from the southwest. That's just going to punch right through it, and that's where your storms are going to start to develop as we move into tomorrow here. So let me go over to this one here. So I want to stress this as well. Like Derek mentioned before, over there along the Mississippi River, we've got you guys ending at 4 a.m. on Thursday morning. That is a big if. There is a situation, there's two scenarios that could play out here. You can have storms that go into eastern Arkansas, they stall, becomes a flooding threat, your tornado threat dies off, or it becomes a living nightmare where you have supercell after supercell after supercell after supercell in that zone 3 over there in eastern Arkansas. My folks over there, I mean, you've got to have a plan ready to go for tomorrow here, just in case either scenario happens in that situation here. I know, like I said before, there's a lot of schools that did a lot of tornado drills today. I am so proud of all those school districts that did that today. You guys have no idea how great that makes us feel. That you guys were able, those school districts were going over those tornado safety plans, we're going over what to do and stuff like that. Because majority of this is going to be during the day tomorrow, during the afternoon, in the evening. And I'm worried too about tomorrow's Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
I worry about churches as well. You know, a lot of people are going to be going to church tomorrow evening. You know, your rush hour and stuff like that. So if you're planning on traveling tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of people traveling tomorrow during this. Study where you're going. Kind of have a mindset of like, hey, there's a gas station right there. There's a store right there. There's a restaurant. Be ready at any moment's notice that a warning gets issued that you just pull off, you go to that building and you seek shelter there. And I highly recommend any business owners, you know, your grocery store owners, your stuff like that, you know, be ready for those influx of people to come in trying to seek shelter in your building as we move into tomorrow here. Go ahead, Derek.
You know, also, I mean, just to throw this out there, I know a lot of school events have been canceled tomorrow night, which is a very good thing. I know for a fact in Central Arkansas, all the schools have canceled all games, evening activities,
Love it. I love to hear it. I love to hear it.
But that being said, though, and Andy Counts made a good point as well. The storms that go up in West Arkansas tomorrow morning, will they have that chance to produce large hail almost immediately? That answer is yes, because, and this is exactly. Your cold pool is your double-edged sword here.
Yes,
you get that cold air aloft, those storms will go straight to the camp, into the upper atmosphere.
Yep.
And again, this is just one of those days where storms are going to form fast. There's going to be a bunch of them.
Yep.
Tomorrow is one of those days that, this can go straight outbreak, or it can be nothing at all. Again, this is a situation. I stress, to my like Cameron said as well, store owners, etc. If you are facing this situation, get as many people into shelter as you can. One of the most recent stories I know of is in Rolling Fork, Mississippi. The dairy bar took a direct hit. The owner died from that event. And a few folks as well who were getting people into shelter.
Yep.
Multiple lives were saved because they put everybody into the freezer. Some lost their lives, and we were there on that night, but people were saved from a catastrophic tornado because that owner thought about other people. And this is what I was stressing earlier. Arkansans, when Cameron and I started this, there was so much compassion in this state. Since 2020, there's been none. And, I don't know if it's, just because of COVID or whatever, but, there was a day in this state that I was proud of this day where everybody watched out for the neighbor. I'm going to get on the soapbox again, and stop me if I get
You're
off
good.
on it.
We got questions to answer. I'm sorry.
I know, but again, to answer your question, yes, this goes up, and yes, your store owners, you can take shelter from that event. Try not to be that person that doesn't allow somebody to take shelter.
Please don't be that person.
Yep.
Please don't be that person. Also, I know we got folks that are asking about tonight. I'm just gonna let you guys know for tonight. Yes, we will watch Western Arkansas. I don't think it's going to be a big significant event over there in Western Arkansas, because I think the majority of it should hold off out into Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas. I will let you guys know on a little bit of a caveat. This studio and even the backup studio is preset to go live at any moment's notice. Anything happens, we'll be here. So I want you guys tonight, keep your phone on in Western Arkansas. I haven't even drawn up a timing map for tonight because it just doesn't look like it's going to be a big significant threat, because I think the majority of your system will move in tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on it. But like I said before, if anything happens tonight, we will instantly be live here. And I may draw a timing map after this live stream about it. I just don't think you're going to see a significant severe weather threat tonight. I think it's going to be during the day tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on those cells coming out from Oklahoma. But what's going to happen is it's going to run into a cap here in Arkansas. And those storms are going to die off as they move eastward. Hence why your severe threat cuts off right at the Arkansas-Oklahoma border before it gets into Arkansas. So we'll keep an eye on it. Like I said, I'm not saying no to it, and if anything happens, we're set. We're pretty much set up, ready to go. We've had our meetings. We're ready. We're ready for what's coming the next couple of days. So if anything happens, we'll be here and we'll be live tonight, or even first thing in the morning if we need to. But we'll keep an eye on as we move into tonight and tomorrow.
Very good question from Derek out there in Woodruff County about the farmers. Because right now it's peak planting season.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is peak planting season in Arkansas. So this is kind of a caveat situation here, because we are dealing with the flooding as well. It's kind of one of those things, basically overnight tonight into the early morning, into I would say about midday tomorrow, is going to be your best time to plant. The further northeast you go, the later it's going to be, as you can see. But again, I know from farmers, I go on the farm myself. It's one of those situations where this much rainfall coming, especially, is going to wreak havoc on planting. It is planting season in Arkansas. It's honestly the worst time possible to get this flooding event. We could have used it a month ago before planting started instead of right now. So again, that being said, for my farmers who are tuning in and listening, we love everything y'all do for our state, because without y'all, we wouldn't be able to eat. I mean, just saying. And I'm one about food. Yeah. I love food. Shush.
We know.
But anywho, that being said, tomorrow I would say really if it was me, I would want to be out of the field in West Arkansas first thing in the morning. Eastern Arkansas, mid to late afternoon.
Yeah.
There was also another good. There's something a graphic I think that would come in very good use, either tonight or in the morning. The graphic that involves where to take shelter in your house.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are asking, where do I take shelter?
You know what? If you can get this question from Hunter real quick, I can get a graphic.
Sure thing.
It'd be off Google, but I can get a graphic going.
Was it on Facebook or was it?
He says depending on what happens in Oklahoma tonight, can the moderate risk be expanded to the west tomorrow?
My opinion, me, I fully expect that moderate risk by the midday update tomorrow to be encompassing much of the eastern half of the state. If you want my opinion. Places, like further, like the metro, like down towards Hot Springs, Arkadelphia, Hope, Texarkana, El Dorado, places like that. I would not be shocked to see that moderate risk expanded further west. Yep. I'm just going to say that, your greatest tornado potential is going to exist along your I-30, 67, 167 corridors, points east.
Your timeout's going to go away for just a second. Don't freak out on me.
And that being said, this is a tornado. I want you to stress this too. This is a tornado-driven level 4 risk. I think it's something we didn't really stress earlier.
Yeah.
But it is a tornado-driven level 4 risk.
Yeah.
So
that's why I went moderate. Yeah, it's dark. Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to have to watch. I fully expect this to go west as we get to day one. Now, for those of you, we've had a bunch of questions about this. Jeffrey Michael Wynn, he's been answering as many of these as he can. He's a firefighter in Cole, former forecaster spotter on the page.
Yep.
As well. Appreciate that, Jeffrey. This is the best graphic from NOAA when it comes to taking shelter
Yep.
during severe weather. Cameron?
Yeah. So what you want to do in a situation is you want to get as low as possible whenever you deal with a tornado situation. Now, I'm going to throw a caveat at you guys here, and Derek, I'm going to tell you about this as well. There could be the potential that somebody could be under a tornado warning and a flash flood warning at the exact same time. I can see
Yep.
that happening, especially in Northeast Arkansas where your flooding threats through the roof. In that situation here, and this is what I love about our tornado shelter sponsor. If one of my guys can link them into the comments, go check those guys out. They have above ground shelters just for this particular situation where you won't get flooded out in that shelter, but you're protected from the tornado at the exact same time here. So this is a situation where if you're under a flood warning and you're under a tornado warning at the same time, you want to get to the highest level with the flooding, but you want to get to the lowest level with a tornado. So that's going to be the center. That center part of the home would be the best shot with that. If that situation does happen, because I can see that. I can see somebody being under a tornado warning and a flood warning at the exact same time. I want to make this crystal clear for everybody across the entire state of Arkansas to understand. Do not, and I want to make this clear, do not attempt to try to see this tornado for yourself. Jamie is a professional storm chaser, certified for a reason. There's going to be certified storm chasers in the state tomorrow. Unless you are a certified storm chaser, you have no business being outside during a tornado warning. Your family and your friends and your life comes first. That's how it is. I don't care about TikTok. I don't care about people trying to go viral, stuff like that. Your life comes first, and it's the only time we're going to tell you that. Do not attempt to try to go outside to see this tomorrow. If a tornado warning happens, because what happens is you go outside, everybody else is going to want to go outside with you. And it's just going to lead to more issues, and you're putting a lot more lives at risk at that point. Tornado warning happens, you find that shelter, you get to that center part of that shelter, or the lowest part, you have a storm shelter or a storm cellar, amazing. If you don't, that could be a basement, it could be a bathroom, it could be a closet. That's where you want to go, okay? Top floors, you do not want to go to a top floor. You want to avoid the exterior rooms and the ones that have the exterior walls. They will not protect you from the tornado. You want to get to the basement. You want to go to an interior room with no windows. That is where you want to go if there were to be a tornado tomorrow. But I want to make that crystal clear. Unless you are a storm chaser or you're working for emergency management, you have no business being outside tomorrow during a tornado warning here. You need to be finding shelter and getting there until that tornado warning has been expired for your area here. That's not being mean or anything. That is just me being straightforward. You just have no business being outside when there's a tornado warning here, okay? That's just how it's going to be here. But that's the safety here. That's where you go when there's a tornado warning. And there will be tornado warnings tomorrow. I'm fully expecting a tornado watch tomorrow. I would say, especially with the moderate risk now, day 2, I wouldn't be shocked if we had what's called a PDS tornado watch, which is a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch, especially for our folks over there in eastern Arkansas here. And Kim, I love that comment. Do not crawl. Do not go into crawl spaces under your house. It is not safe at all here. So, also, guys, feel free to ask any questions. None of them are dumb because obviously we're trying to make sure that you're being safe along with your family here. So with a center apartment, if you want to, what do you got?
So we've also had a lot of questions about how you prepare for flooding. It's a situation. You know, this is the kind of question we actually expected the other night. Yeah. And now we're getting these questions because now people have realized, oh, we're in severe weather season and it's not messing around in 25.
Well, I'll be honest with you, and I'm gonna defend that because it's early season. Right. Technically. Right. Our peak is not until April, and seeing this being this active right out of the gate is concerning.
And the fact that we get cold.
You get cold as a pattern reset.
As a reset, and then we go into late April and May.
So, to be fair, I can see why people were like, oh man, the first go around. Because I'll be honest with you guys, March 14th, if I didn't have the experience that I didn't have, I probably would have been caught off guard with that event. Mm-hmm. Like, it just... You don't expect those type of high-end, significant events right out the jump with spring. You wait for them, at least in the middle and late part. You'll get a couple in early season, but this is probably one of the most active early season springs that we've covered in the last couple of years here in Arkansas. Outside of 2023, And I think last year as well. I think last year was a little bit what we call a late boomer. But I've got the graphic coming up for the flooding
So
threat
basically,
as well.
basically, so this is basically what you need for the next 5 days. You need a bicycle helmet. You need elbow pads. You need mattresses, pillows, blankets, a boat. Let's see, a yacht, a canoe.
You might as well go to Academy Sports and Goods.
Yeah,
Might as well just go there
it's
and
just
get done with it. Yeah.
you can never be too safe when it comes to severe weather.
Right.
And this is something that is always preached time and time again. Flooding has actually produced more deaths than tornadoes over the years. And the reason being is that water is one of those things that is very underestimated. Because with flooding, you deal with so many different aspects of it. What looked like 5 inches of water can actually be 5 feet. And time and time again, that's when it comes to preparing for flooding per se, there is no kit that you can make. For tornadoes, you can do canned food, water, etc., whatnot. When it comes to flash flooding, the biggest thing is, like Cameron said, seek higher ground. Don't drive into the water. And I see this all the time, where people drive straight into the water and then their car is running downstream and then they're asking for help. Folks, I want to stress that our emergency management, our emergency personnel are going to be stressed to the max tomorrow. They're going to be stretched in.
It's not even going to be just tomorrow. You're
Right,
talking all the way through the
all the way through
event.
Sunday. They're going to be stretched in. You can take part in helping them by not driving through our flooded zones. I know people have to go to work, go to school, etc. But if you see flooding, don't drive through it. Just go around.
My rule of thumb is if you come across a flooded roadway and your first instinct tells you not to drive through it, listen to that first instinct because 9 times out of 10 it's right. You don't want to drive through a flooded roadway, no matter if it looks low, because that's what gets you. It will look low when you're driving. It'll look like, oh, I can just get through this. It's a puddle. And then you get in said puddle and it ends up like 7 inches of water and then you're stuck. And most times, especially in situations like this, where you have a billion calls coming in from emergency management, along with, let's say we have a tornado warning, somebody gets hit. Well, you may be sitting in that water for a lot longer than you normally would if it was just, an accidental event. So I understand life keeps going. Folks still got to go to work, bills still got to get paid and everything. Be smart. Next couple of days, guys. Just be smart. Know where you live. Know where to go. We've been through this shindig so many times. If you've been with us in 2011, not with the page, but you lived here in Arkansas in 2011. You know how this went. Just be smart. Next couple of days. That's all we're asking. Just be smart. Give our emergency management a break. Make sure you're being patient with them, because not only with us, but the fire department, the police department, all those guys that are going to be doing all those rescues are going to be stretched in tomorrow as well here. And not only tomorrow, but throughout the rest of the week. So
Heidi made a good point as well.
Okay.
Jamie as well. So one thing about it is, something with your essentials, your medicine, your important documents, in a waterproof, safe Ziploc bag.
Love that.
Something that you can put, because again, here's the thing: if you have, we have one of these at the house as well. We have one for all of our essential documents here at our media group LLC as well. It's called a safe. It's a fireproof, waterproof safe. Now, here's the thing: if that thing is chunked by a tornado, guess what? It's still safe. If it gets flooded in, it's still safe. If it gets burned, it's still safe. Again, it's one of those things that, you got to be smart. And, a lot of us growing up were taught to, hey, keep your important things safe. Yeah, you can put it on the cloud. Yeah, you can put it online. But here's the thing. If you don't have access to that cloud because power is out, because internet's out, because cell service is down, and we've seen this time and time again as well.
Yeah.
Those paper documents are vital records that you can use to help out emergency personnel in a situation. God forbid you are unable to speak, or move or something like that.
Yeah. So let me see. Yeah, I got Heidi's comment, and like I said, folks, I'm gonna stress this to the moon here right now. I don't even know what the numbers are right now on Facebook and all that. I want you guys to share this live stream. Okay, we're here. It's 8 o'clock. I'm gonna cut it at 8:30. I think 8:30 is a good cutoff point, so that way we get rest, get food, and everything like that. You guys have 30 minutes. Share this with your family and your friends. I know everybody around the state has questions. I know everybody around the state needs those questions answered and stuff like that. This is the time right now from tomorrow through Sunday. We are not going to have time to sit here, stop what we're doing, answer questions along with everything else. We're not going to have time.
We are going to be in a basically what we here call a triage mode.
Triage mode, yeah.
It's going to be a 5-day weather alert day, first time ever issued at AWW, our Roku channel, our 24/7 network, all of our social media outlets. We now are live on Twitter as well.
Yep.
X, whatever. I will always call it Twitter, but we now have another outlet for you to view, Twitter. So now we have Twitter.
As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to work on getting Discord, for those that are in Discord, a way for them to be able to watch the 24/7 stream as well. So
again,
we'll have to watch it,
more multiple outlets for you to view everything. But again, we're going into a 5-day weather alert day. Wednesday, Thursday, well, at least 4 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That means there will be no 7-day outlooks. There will be no 6-day outlooks. It is going to be strictly full coverage mode. In between those times, we are live. Say it's the middle of the night, we're going to be sleeping. I mean, or we're going to have at least somebody able to watch.
Kind of cycle through.
We're going to have to be cycling through. I know tomorrow in studio, Jeff Baskin will be in studio with us.
Yeah.
That's how serious of a day it's going to be. Meteorologist Jeff Baskin will be in studio tomorrow with us. Normally, he's behind the scenes, kind of helping us out. Tomorrow, he's going to be on air. If that tells you anything in Arkansas, you need to be watching.
Yep.
When he steps into studio, that's when you have to be watching.
And that's not like a downgrade to anybody
No,
else on the
it is
team.
not.
It's just...
It is we want to make sure you are safe, Arkansas.
Yep. So...
a lot of questions have come in about, let's say the hallway, right? It's a safe spot, but all their closets and stuff are against the outer walls. Your hallway is going to always be your
safe place. Yeah,
yep.
You're always going to be your safe place. And in that situation too, you bring I love James Spann over there in Alabama. He makes a great point about this. Get you that bicycle helmet. Get a mattress, something like that, because that adds protection to your head. Because most times whenever you have a unfortunate situation, you get hit by a tornado, you can break an arm, you can break a leg, you'll live. Yep. But if you take especially on your soft spot up here, if you take the right hit, it could kill you. That's why you always want to make sure that you got a helmet or something to protect you from head trauma in those types of situations here. I mean, obviously you can get hit and in the chest, something like that, it could kill you. But if it's a direct blow up here, it can be fatal. So you have a much higher chance, a much higher risk of getting hit in the head versus the rest of your body, because your arms are naturally, I don't know if you've ever fallen off of a bike or anything like that, your arms naturally protect your center part of your body, if folks that didn't know that. But for your head, it's the most vulnerable spot because you can get hit at any point. So just like I said, if you need to make that quick run to Walmart, or you need to borrow one of the kiddos' helmets or something like that, do that tonight, do that tomorrow, throughout much of the day. Like I said before, this is not every single person in Arkansas is going to see a tornado. Yeah. Not every single person in Arkansas is going to get a tornado warning. But you just never know. Somebody could be traveling. Somebody could be in a direct path. You just never know when it comes to these tornado situations here. So very important that you know where to go as you move into tomorrow.
A very good question on YouTube from Plus Shrimp. Trailers. Because we have a lot of people in mobile homes in this state.
Yeah.
Mobile homes are the worst place to be.
Yeah.
When it comes to severe weather, especially tornadoes and flooding, both really, and high winds. And I mean, you can look at it wrong, but the biggest thing is when it comes to your mobile homes, and you don't have anything. The best thing to do is at least, cover yourself up. Mattresses, pillows, blankets. Stuff like that. Even a mobile home has a hallway of some kind.
I would say this, especially with being 24 hours out. I would be trying like anything, even if it's a 10-minute, 20-minute drive. I would be trying anything to try to get out of that mobile home. Just how it is. That should be and I understand, if you have no vehicle, no friends or anything like that, I completely get it. I 100% get it. But that might be a situation where I don't know. I would be trying to find some way, somehow, to try to get some sort of structure in that situation. Because being in a mobile home, it is supposed to be a very, 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 very last resort. Very last resort here. Because tornado hits, that's the first thing that's going to get destroyed is that mobile home. That's just how it is. So I would recommend just kind of looking around, just being like, hey, just trying to talk to somebody in your area and be like, hey, if you need, I don't know where you live or anything like that, but I know there's Ubers and all the other stuff. If you need somebody that might, be like, hey, you can come stay here for a couple of hours, or you go to a store or something like that. I don't feel comfortable telling you to seek shelter in a mobile home or a trailer unless it's a absolute dire situation, because that's the first thing that goes whenever there's a tornado. That's how it is. And I will say this, a lot of people have been focused on the tornado. I don't want anybody ignoring the wind or the hail or the flooding. Folks, I understand that tornadoes are the number one popular thing when it comes to social media and severe weather and marketing and all the other yada yada stuff. Wind, hail, and flooding. If you didn't know this, by the way, flooding leads the nation in deaths.
Yep.
Higher than tornadoes, higher than wind, higher than hail.
Mm-hmm.
Flooding is number one in the country in terms of deaths. That's why we harp so much about the flooding threat here. And I know it's like, well, how can you prepare for it? There's lots of ways you can prepare for flooding here. But don't just focus on the tornado, because not every single person in Arkansas is going to see tornadoes. As a matter of fact, I would say this: your flooding threats here, your tornado threats here, your wind threats here, and then your hail threat comes up a little bit higher than your wind. Your flooding threat is sitting at number one right now. That's just how it is.
Yep.
We don't put almost a foot of rain in the forecast unless we have significant confidence from not only us, but the National Weather Service, WPC, and all of them to do it. So please, folks, do not ignore that flooding threat here, guys.
And another thing that we have to deal with as well.
Yeah.
Also, is people driving. Where you take shelter at. One thing about it is do not try to outrun it. Because I'm just going to throw this out there right now. If you try to outrun a tornado, you're putting everybody else at risk. Another thing, don't take shelter under bridges, because your winds actually increase under a bridge. So again, we saw this and more back. Several times people took shelter under bridges and got sucked out. Bridges is the last place you want them to be.
Yeah.
Ditches, are the preferred method when it comes to taking shelter from a tornado. Now, unfortunately, we're dealing with flooding. Ditches are not going to be the best recommended thing, because if you take shelter in a ditch that's flooded, well, where that goes. Again, the biggest thing is drive till you find a sturdy shelter and get out of the car and take shelter there. Another thing is, I know a lot of city shelters are kind of hit and miss. Some of them are saying they're going to be open all day. Others saying that they're not going to be open unless there's a warning. My concern is that if they don't open until there's a warning, as fast as these storms are going to be moving,
you're risking
it
lives.
could be too late.
You're risking lives.
My thing is that if you are OEM around the state, consider opening those shelters for those that do not have shelter throughout the day, just in case. Those of you who have pets as well, crates, stuff like that, it's a very good thing, to put your pets in.
Yeah.
Or if you have a family member, that has shelter, then, consider going there, or take them to your job, stuff like that. Again, tomorrow's a day where we need to work as one to keep as many Arkansans safe as possible. Because tomorrow's a day where we could all be reeling the effects of severe weather and or flooding in the state of Arkansas. And tomorrow's that day where we need to work as one to keep Arkansas safe together. Work with your neighbor, work with your friend, work with the person you hate around the corner, just because tomorrow's the day when you keep people safe.
All right, I'm stopping you on the soapbox because we got a ton of questions.
I know.
First of all, from Chandler, the cap is holding strong out west. Bad sign. You don't want that.
Oh,
that means that storms are struggling out there in Oklahoma right now. We'll keep an eye on that. It's a little early in the ball game, but thank you, Chandler, for that. Just like I said, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just we got questions piling up. I don't want anyone feeling like
No, you're fine.
that we're ignoring them. So let me see here. So I have a couple. I'm just gonna answer this all in one about storm shelters here. Number one. If you guys haven't checked it out already, we do have a tornado shelter sponsor that do offer above and below ground shelters. As far as the community shelters, Derek, I know Eden, I think she has a list that we could probably get out at some point that talks about where to go with those shelters, stuff like that. And like I said before, I highly recommend any OEMs that are watching this right now, please open those shelters tomorrow. Keeping them open, even if nothing happens, keeping them open will
ease anxiety.
Ease anxiety, and it will help save lives at the end of the day. Let me see here. We had, like I said before, we got a lot of people focused on Central Arkansas. I want to stress this, and I had this problem Sunday night, and I'm going to stress this now. Folks, we cover the entire state of Arkansas, 75 counties. No, it doesn't annoy us that we don't talk about Little Rock or something like that. We cover the entire state of Arkansas.
Yep.
So...
Y'all see that far Northern County? Y'all see that far Southeast County? We cover all 75 counties.
Correct. So next couple of days, do not feel like we are ignoring Central Arkansas because we cover the little man. You have plenty of coverage in Central. You have plenty of coverage, in Hot Springs and stuff like that. But what happens if you get out of Little Rock? What happens if you get out of the metro area, those smaller towns? They don't have the same amount of coverage as Little Rock does. That's where we come in. We cover not only the metro and those areas, we cover those smaller towns that often get ignored. So it's not us ignoring Little Rock because we understand the anxiety of what's happened over the last 2 years here in Little Rock. We get it. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to prioritize, Little Rock when there's nothing going on where somebody in a smaller town is getting hit and they don't have coverage. So we want to make that crystal clear. We're going over all this stuff right now, getting it all out because it's going to get stressful over the next couple of days here. So I want to make that clear. We cover those smaller towns as well here. So
and you had a great county map up.
I did
this afternoon.
Yes, I did.
That was an amazing county map as well. Because that talked about all something about when you're dealing with when you talk about different regions of the state, a lot of people don't know. If you're new here, you don't know, exactly where your county is, your county seat, etc. It's just one of those things where you know your counties because again, most of our weather moves from the west or southwest. Sometimes it comes out of the north, and very rare occasions during tropical weather it comes out of the east. But we'll worry about that in July and August when it's 100 plus outside. But again, it's one of those things where if you know your county, you will know where to go, or know where the storm is coming from.
Yep.
Morgan, could there be any rain missing tomorrow? Tomorrow's unlike Sunday, where you had a strong cap in place, tomorrow we don't. You're going to have a cap in place early on, but that will change.
Yeah. So I will say this. I don't like. We don't like comparing two events to each other here. I think what will end up happening is, there is a situation like we had with March 14th, where you have an environment in place that will be capable of producing strong tornadoes. Mm-hmm. This is tomorrow's environment. Now, could there be an argument of, hey, March 14th versus tomorrow? What's the difference between the two? I would personally say, based off of looking at it, because I spent a considerable amount of time overnight last night studying data, getting this map drawn up and everything like that. The difference between the two, I will say tomorrow's tornado threat may be a notch higher than it was with the 14th. Because with the 14th was a glancing blow with a 100-knot jet that moved through, and it mainly focused on that northeastern part of the state, and then that was it. This go around, you bring all that energy a little bit further to the south, and you kind of focus it over Arkansas. That's why you're moderate risk. It goes from eastern Arkansas down, and I'll be honest with you guys. I wouldn't be shocked. We talked to you guys in the morning that moderate risk is further west. I wouldn't be shocked at all. So this go around, I think your tornado threat, if you were to compare the two, is a notch higher, especially tomorrow. Is a notch higher than it was with the 14th event because it's just different dynamics, different energy that you're dealing with. Obviously, that doesn't mean that, all 75 counties are getting wiped off the face of the earth. It ain't like that at all. Mm-hmm. But it is a situation that you do have to have your weather awareness up. And another thing about that too, before we answer a few more questions here. So I understand the storm anxiety. I get it. Okay. I understand that feeling of, hey, I don't know what to do and all that. I need you guys tonight to go over it. It's calm. There's not much going on tonight. Talk to your family and friends here, okay? Because every time you guys bombard us during severe weather coverage about where to go and stuff like that, and you're not in a warning, that's more energy that our moderators have to go into answer your question than try to answer somebody else's question that may be in the path, where you could have talked about that stuff the night before and stuff like that. We've been saying this the last couple of days. You've got to talk to your family and friends about this stuff, guys. You have to. I get it. I 100% get the storm anxiety. No one's ever going to knock. No one on this page will ever knock people for that. But at the end of the day, there's time before severe weather comes. We see it coming. We know when it's going to happen. We see it coming. How can we prepare as Arkansas? How can we do it? And that's how you do it. You sit down, you talk to your family and friends, you show them this map, you show them where to go when there's a tornado potential, you show them what to do when there's a flooding. You talk about that stuff before all this stuff happens. Don't wait until, there's a warning, I gotta do it now. Don't do that, because it's more, I don't know about you guys, there's more anxiety when you have to do it on the day of than it is a couple of days before. That's just me. I that's how I used to do it. Like when I played sports or something like that, and there's a big game coming, I studied the days before the game even got there. Mm-hmm. So that's how it is. You have to do the same thing with severe weather. You got to prepare ahead instead of waiting until the last possible second to speak up about it. And we and our entire team, I'll make this clear, we're never going to bash anybody for having anxiety. I have anxiety, he has anxiety, Jamie has anxiety. Half of our team deals with some sort of that. That's just how it is. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Never feel afraid to come and ask us, like, hey, how do I prepare? What do I do when there's a tornado warning, stuff like that. Folks, we're not going to chew your heads off about it. We want to save lives. That's what we want to do. We want to save lives here. So never be afraid to ask us those questions. We may not respond immediately, but I'd rather for you guys, I got told, my grandpa used to tell me this all the time. A closed mouth is never heard. He told me this every single time. A closed mouth is never heard. Got to speak up, guys. Tell us what's going on, and that's how we're going to be able to knock this out as a state, as a whole here. So I see a couple of questions here about, and I think I saw one from Brian. I wouldn't be shocked from SBC tomorrow, seeing analogs from Alabama 2011 outbreak here. Now, that event is April 27, 2011, will go down, in my personal opinion, as an event that cannot be touched. Yep. That's just how it's going to be. No matter how many, events that look like it, I honestly think that event, April 27, 2011, will never be replicated. That's just how it is, because it was just so devastating. That was just such a devastating event. How many tornadoes you had in that event? 200 plus? Yep. In that event, I have a hard time seeing another event replicating what you just got through dealing with April 2011. Outside of a couple of events we've had in the past, when we had March 31st and stuff like that, but I just have a hard time getting those events to replicate what you did in April 27th there. Yeah. Now, in terms of SBC, we don't control what they do. We don't control where they put those risks at or anything like that. I will say this. I do think that moderate risk needs to be bumped a little bit to the west. We're looking at data right now. We're going to get into that a little bit, but I do believe it does need to come a little bit further west than what it is right now. Mm-hmm. And it's not a knock to them. It's just our personal opinion. I think that we will have to keep an eye on it as we move into the morning. Go ahead, Derek.
Again, let's see. Talking about everything, again, everybody's asking again about that tornado risk, where it is, and stuff like that.
I'll go back to it.
I know. My concern is that everybody's so focused on the tornado risk that we're gonna ignore our flooding risk. Yeah. The good thing now, here's gonna be about Wednesday. Our flooding risk is not as significant as it is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
We've got time to prepare for the flooding risk.
So we have time to prepare because we've been in a drought. tomorrow is going to lay the groundwork for the flooding risk Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Correct.
I think tomorrow we can focus more on our tornado risk.
Yeah.
Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's when you get through with tornado, large hail damage, wind, and flooding.
Yep.
I mean, just to throw it out there. And again, it's going to depend on where that boundary sets up. Cameron and I, we're talking about this earlier. You're going to have a boundary that is going to be windshield wiping throughout the state
I'll
of
tell
Arkansas.
you what, I will tell you this right out of the gate. HR, the 0Z HR, is the worst case scenario for Arkansas. It's the worst case scenario. You've got supercells. You're gonna have to keep an eye on this. So this is what we call a prefrontal trough that develops tomorrow. So for folks that are in eastern Arkansas, we'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. This will be the worst case scenario for tomorrow. This would send supercells through the delta, and every single one of those supercells will carry a tornado risk. Matter of fact, I will do this, not taking anything away from these graphics. I will do this, and we'll show the HR coming up now. Coming up now. There we go. So this is something that we're gonna have to keep an eye on here. Every single one of these supercells here. I'm get my thing correctly for me real fast. Hang on. Every single one of these supercells tomorrow in this general area is gonna have to be watched here. Now I know there's some sort of eastward progression with this. We'll keep an eye on it here, but I'm getting worried from Jonesboro, Little Rock, Texarkana east as we move into tomorrow. That Pine Bluff area, we're going to have to keep an eye on for tomorrow as well. That Stuttgart area in particular, we're going to have to keep an eye on for tomorrow. Up towards Jonesboro, Memphis, have to keep an eye on these as we move into tomorrow here, because every single one of these supercells is going to carry a strong tornado threat here. I saw that one comment. Someone was urging me to look at the 0ZHR,
now,
and that's what we've got here.
Let's leave this up for this minute, Cameron.
Okay, yeah.
I want to point out something.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of questions. Why is East Arkansas getting hammered so often right now in the spring?
It's your pattern.
Southeastern Ridge.
Yeah, it's your pattern.
Because right now, so your atmosphere is still in that basic progressive type mode. We're transitioning from El Nino from a La Nina to a neutral pattern.
Yep.
I'll
draw that real quick.
So basically what's going on right now is your Southeast Ridge is not building it. Your Southeast Ridge is where we get our hot, humid summertime weather.
It's kind of somewhat like this, maybe a little further west.
So what's happening is all your systems are moving and then forming east on the eastern half of Arkansas. Your western half, again, this is moving through, and then boom, it explodes as it slows down in the eastern half of the state.
Yep.
Now, that ridging will gradually build west. Unfortunately, we have troughing coming in here, next week. That is going to bring frost and freeze threat.
That will reset your pattern.
Once again. Keep that ridge east. Now, when we transition again, your Gulf moisture comes back north, jet stream, basically. So you're going to keep having this pattern until this ridge establishes itself. Then our concern, it shifts more into western Arkansas, northwest Arkansas, places like that. So why are we getting so much of these in eastern Arkansas? A little bit of meteorology. Until that ridge builds west, you're going to continue to have this situation time and time again across the eastern half of Arkansas.
Yep. So we're going to keep an eye on that. I'm just looking at a couple of things real quickly here. So I'll make just one last caveat, and then we'll answer a couple more questions, and that pretty much will be it. You're going to see this map a lot tomorrow. Okay. This is what's called a significant tornado parameter. You're going to see somebody on social media that's going to try to share this for likes and shares and all the other yada yada stuff. This pretty much means that just your environment is capable of producing significant tornadoes. That's just all what it is. Yep. Don't pay attention to the numbers. Don't pay attention to all that. It's just telling you your environment is capable of producing significant tornadoes. That's just all what it is at the end of the day. I don't like sharing this because anxiety is already through the roof as it is. We don't need to make it even higher than it is right now. But that environment is definitely there as we move into tomorrow here, guys. So I'm going to go back over to the graphics. I'm going to leave it with, we're going to talk about the 2 tornado risks real quick. And then we're going to go to timing, and then we're going to hop off here so we can get ready for this as well here, okay? So let me see here. Let me go over a couple more real quickly here, okay? So let me see here. So do we have the tornado, hail, and wind threats for Thursday through Saturday? We do not right now. All we have for those 3 days are slight risk or level 2 in place. We don't have the specific broken down tornado, hail, and wind threat right now because that's from Storm Prediction Center. They haven't updated all that yet. We're focusing on tomorrow. I know everybody's trying to jump ahead, look at Thursday, Friday, Saturday, stuff like that. We got to get through tomorrow first, folks. Take things one day at a time. You're going to have to with this situation. Otherwise, you're going to get confused. So take it one day at a time. We don't have that information just yet. We will have that information once we get later into the week. But right now, we are focused on Wednesday. We got to get through Wednesday first. Then we'll tackle Thursday. Then we'll tackle Friday, Saturday, etc. My mom is the head of security at City Hall in Memphis. They said they're shutting down all operations at noon tomorrow. I love hearing that. Absolutely love hearing that here, guys. So I'm going to lead this off with the timing map. I'm going to go back over to the timing map. We're going to break this down one last time. All the graphics are going to be on the page, by the way. Go ahead. So
FEMA has an outlet as well for texting. They give you a list of like different things as well.
Okay.
So we'll update that after and stuff too.
So the biggest thing is this is going to be broken up into 3 different zones for tomorrow here, okay? Zone 1 in western Arkansas, northwestern Arkansas. Zone 2 is central, north central, down to southwest Arkansas. And then over to eastern Arkansas, it's going to be zone 3. Zone 1, we're going to get this started at 11 o'clock. I'm going to stress this to the moon. Folks, pay attention to this part of the graphic. Don't skim. I know everybody has a habit of just, swiping through. I do the same thing. I'd be a hypocrite if I told you I didn't. But I know at the same time that you got to stop and you got to look at those graphics, and that's how it's going to be tomorrow. You got to pay attention to these graphics as we move into tomorrow, guys, okay? My folks in western Arkansas, I'm going to start this at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning over here. Storms are going to start bubbling up. They're going to eventually move to the east here, okay? I know you guys saw the HR. At the time it may be different. Don't take that model and run with it. This is all that data and all that information kind of combined into one here, okay? 12 to 5 will be your timing. It will end at 7 o'clock. Over here at Zone 2, it's going to get started at 2 p.m. I understand that's going to cause a lot of anxiety in terms of folks getting out of from work, kids in school. I want to make this crystal clear for every single person, every single parent that hears my voice right now. Do not attempt to try to get your kids out of school tomorrow. Unless they have been dismissed early, do not get them out of school here. And that is for a reason, because they are safer in that school building than they are with you trying to get them out and you're trying to get them back home before a tornado warning hits. Don't try to get your kids tomorrow. I get it. I know it's the one thing a parent never wants to hear because you feel like you're abandoning your kid. You're not. You're putting your kid in the most safest situation possible. That's how it is. School districts have their own policies in place in case there's a tornado warning or anything life-threatening coming their way. They have those policies in place. They go over those drills yearly for a reason. They do it for a reason. Do not tomorrow try to go get your kid out of school if there's a tornado warning before they get let out. Don't do it, because you're putting them in a really bad situation. If that happens, you focus on yourself. You focus on getting yourself into safety. Rest assured that the school districts across the state of Arkansas have gone over all their severe weather safety plans today. They've done tornado drills and everything like that. Rest assured that they know what they're doing here, guys, okay? But do not try to go out and get that as we move into tomorrow here, okay? And then, Derek, if you want to talk about Zone 3, and then I think that's pretty much it for everything.
Again, as we talk about Zone 3, again, is where really our highest risk for tornadoes is. Kind of the eastern half of Zone 2 and then all of Zone 3. Again, this is where the potential, as our system stalls, as it gets closer to the Mississippi state line, we're going to be dealing with that training effect of multiple rounds of storms. Again, obviously starting late afternoon, mostly after school hours. But again, we're going to be watching that 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. time frame for an extended period of severe storms, tornadoes. Yes, hail, yes, damaging winds, yes. And then we're obviously ending around 4 a.m. Then we wish you right back west and start watching Thursday's event. So again, that being said, one day at a time. We're going to take one day at a time, time apps one day at a time, severe risk one day at a time, flooding risk throughout the entire period.
Yep.
But again, the biggest thing we stay with us, Arkansas. We are going to keep you updated. We're going to keep you prepared, and we will be here throughout this entire event.
Yep, definitely. So I think that's pretty much it. I know there's a couple of chasers out in Oklahoma that are actually calling the chase out there,
Yep.
and they're migrating over to
Yep.
to Little Rock as we move into tomorrow here. But we got our own. We got our professional storm chaser certified Jamie here. She's actually in the studio right behind us right now. So we got her. We've been going over game plans for tomorrow here. So she's going to be out, kind of similar to what we did with Sunday evening. She's going to be out on the ground giving us information. We're also going to have Elijah. He's going to be kind of going in behind if we unfortunately have any damage tomorrow. Kind of going behind, kind of keeping everything and stuff like that here, guys. So for myself, Derek,
Yep.
and Jamie, I know you're kind of in the background right there.
Yep.
I think that's pretty much it here, unless you've got something to add.
Just Pulaski County School District has sent out a message that if there's an active tornado warning, parents will not be allowed. The schools will be locked down.
Got it. I just saw it.
So,
Yeah.
all right. So that lets us know everybody in the Little Rock Metro is staying in school. Benton Bryant is letting out.
Okay.
So that's where we're at now. Again, school closings and dismissals, early whatever. We'll have that in the morning once we get an idea on who's doing what.
Yeah.
But again, we thank you for joining us. Trust us. Again, I will be out of studio. I had a pre-planned church retreat. I am going on and been planning this for months on end. I missed it last year because of my stroke. So then this is pre-planned. Unfortunately, every time I leave the studio is when Arkansas goes crazy with severe weather. Just throwing it out there. Many of you have asked. I have stepped away from chasing permanently. To be more in studio, and then of course dealing with our business aspect as well as we continue to grow our media group into something Cameron and I are really excited about, which we'll get more into in the summertime when things are finally quiet, and we can work on these things. But again,
I love that.
Cameron had you covered. Jeff Baskin, John Cook, Dustin, Heidi, all of them, Jamie, they all have you covered. This one thing about it is we're getting to a point where we can rotate in and out, so we're not all burnt out, during active periods like we are going into. So again, that being said, I'll be out of studio. Cameron, everybody else will still be here.
Yeah.
There may be a time where I'm in studio and Cameron's out. You know.
So I want to make this clear. Not knocking at you or anything like that. Not you. Brendan. In the comments. I want you to do me a big favor. I know it's the best case scenario of Central Arkansas. That'd be great. I'm telling you right now,
it's one model.
It's one model.
Yep.
Okay, don't go around telling people that, because the HR will stab you in the back every single time. It will look good tonight, and it will all be all peachy. You wake up first thing tomorrow morning, it's a completely different situation here.
Yep.
So if you are a weather enthusiast, please spread the message about staying weather aware, regardless of what model data says here, because people will see that type of comment. They will let their guard down. We wake up in the morning, HR has a completely different situation, and we go from there. I'm not getting on you or anything like that. I promise. I just want you to urge caution with that, because I don't want anybody coming at you if something happens here or something happens anywhere else, because HR is saying this right now, etc. So if you're a weather enthusiast, just kind of take the model data as guidance, and then that's pretty much it across the board. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. We've covered everything. We've gone over timing. I've got it coming up on the page coming up here in just a second, and I think that's pretty much it.
Just remember, when warnings go out, Twitter, Roku,
Fire TV,
Facebook.
YouTube,
Facebook. Tomorrow is where we're going to be.
And I'm going to try for Discord as well. I'm going to try to have it on our Discord as well.
Our TikTok, something stupid happened. We don't know what happened. Hopefully it's back up tomorrow. If not, oh well. We have plenty other outlets for y'all to use. Our goal is to have every outlet possible for y'all here at some point.
Definitely.
Again, be sure to also follow Heartland Chasing on Facebook and YouTube as well. Jamie, she is our storm chaser, and she will be out covering this event as well. So for myself, for Cameron, our entire team, thank you for your constant trust day in and day out. And once again, we will be here keeping you ahead of the storm.